Am I the a-hole for telling my kind of daughter-in-law she isn't giving birth to Jesus, and if she doesn't clean then she can get out of my home? My son and his girlfriend have been dating since college. They graduated last year and are 22 and 23. They used to have an apartment together but soon found out she was pregnant. I was not happy when they informed me. I knew they could not afford it, but they wanted to keep the baby. They also are doing a shotgun wedding soon. Soon after they asked to move into my home. It is a large home with plenty of space. They wanted to save money for the baby. I made it clear they will need to do chores but their own food. They agreed and are so messy. I have talked to both of them before and they keep telling me they will do better. My son has been traveling for a job and it became clear that she is the one being a mess. In short, she is slob. She leaves dishes out constantly. Her stuff is all over the house. Her bathroom is so gross. I have talked to her over and over again. I have talked to my son and he has talked to her. She is 8 months pregnant and her excuse is she cannot clean. Well, she hasn't been cleaning since she moved in 6 months ago. I came home with groceries and tripped over her shoes. I had enough. I told her that she isn't giving birth to Jesus and if she doesn't clean then she can get out of my house. She started to cry and my son is pissed at me. I reminded him that I am doing them a huge favor and doubled down on cleaning. Am I the a-hole for keeping score of everything I've ever done for my husband? I'm a woman in my late 50s, married to my husband, early 60s. We've been married for 30-odd years. I have fulfilled the role of a traditional wife for much of our marriage, and I left paid work soon into our marriage. My husband is very successful in his business and we live comfortably. All our children are adults now. My husband built his business from the ground up, and I was instrumental to the early success, which set it up to be what it is today. We were having lunch with our children when my son mentioned that his wife didn't want to be trad wife and do what I did to raise the kids. She raised concerns about how vulnerable a position it is and that she doesn't want to solely depend on him for money. He wanted me to talk to her and convince her by telling her how it worked out for me. I said I understood where she was coming from, and being a housewife is incredibly risky and vulnerable, especially if he leaves her and she's been out of the labor force for a while. He countered that it had worked for his father and I because I trusted him as my husband to provide for me, and why couldn't his wife do the same? I told him I have a meticulous record of all contributions I have ever made to the family business, recently digitized with the help of my daughter, so that if the worst ever happened, I wouldn't be relying on the mercy of a man to feed myself. I told him I have made many contingency plans over the years to minimize the risk of being a housewife and compensate for my lack of pension and benefits I'd have had I not left the labor force. My son and husband were angered by this. Both said it showed a lack of trust, and my husband especially feels I've had one foot out the door our entire marriage and that my little escape plan included plans to shaft him of his business. I told him the fact that he refers to it as his business rather than ours is exactly why I kept those records and why I won't be telling my daughter-in-law to do what she doesn't want to do. Edit. We have arrived at the spot. Ended up being me and my daughter's ink by marriage. So it's going to be a good weekend to chat freely about this. Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my parents in family therapy? I'm 15 male in family therapy with my parents and my sisters Alicia 13 female and Kayla 12 female. Therapy is pretty new and not going so well. We're not a close family. We have a lot of issues and I know we had extra stresses because Alicia has a lot of complex medical issues and she can't do everything. Kayla and I can. She needs a wheelchair sometimes, she's on lots of meds, but she can be fine sometimes too and can enjoy life. But she has limitations we don't. And my parents make me feel like they want me to be another adult and not one of their kids. They don't like me spending time with friends. They say I could be home, helping, taking care of my sisters or doing stuff at home for them. When I do go, they can make me take one or both sisters. Get angry if Alicia can't join. If I'm forced to take one of my sisters or both, I can't have fun. I get stuck making sure they're okay. Even birthday parties, I get places and not kid parties anymore. I can be forced to bring them when they're not invited and I get to watch them have fun. If I have fun at something and my sisters don't, then I get in trouble. Happened during our last field trips. I had a great time. Alicia had to leave early because she was sick. Kayla had such a bad time. I told Grandpa had a great time, and my parents berated me for it. While Kayla got to talk about how fun my best friend's birthday at the trampoline park was. And she didn't get into trouble for Alicia being jealous and missing out like I would. I got berated for not having fun though, for acting spoiled that I didn't have a good time. They get mad I don't buy my sister's birthday and Christmas gifts. They get mad that I get gifts from my best friend's parents. They get mad that I get invited to my best friend's family events as a friend for him to hang out with, and it's made clear my sisters aren't invited even if it's something they could be included in. My parents get annoyed when I confide in grandpa, but they also get annoyed if I tell them how they make me feel. Alicia hates being left out, which I get, but I'm the only one my parents get angry with for it. Now we're in family therapy. My parents are using it to talk about how awful I am. They say I'm making life harder for everyone. They didn't expect me to say how things really are, but I did. After my parents said I act like a 5-year-old who doesn't like being the center of attention, I brought up in therapy how they treat me and how I feel like they take their frustration about Alicia requiring so much care out on me, how I'm held to a higher standard and they want me to be an adult and not a kid. I said they can't stand me having fun without my sisters or seeing me being the only one having fun, but almost like it when I'm the one not having fun. My parents got so pissed at me after the session and accused me of embarrassing them. I told them they just didn't want me to speak so openly in front of my sisters, which is why they include them. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give up opportunities that come my way for my sister's sake? My older sister Rita, 20, female, is disabled. My sister's disability comes with a lot of health issues, and while mentally she's capable, physically she cannot do much and struggles even with regular school. She never graduated high school because she got so sick in senior year that it set her way back and she didn't get the grades to graduate. She was offered the chance to repeat, but she said no because she was still really bad afterward. It's something that causes her a lot of distress and she still cries because she feels like she failed in the worst way. Nobody can convince her differently. She doesn't work and she doesn't go to school or anything. She's at home and gets taken care of by our parents. I, 17, female, am still in school and I'm going into my senior year. There have been a lot of discussions about college or what other avenue I could go down. I was given information on this apprenticeship that could be perfect for me, and my guidance counselor wanted me to give it consideration over the summer because they take high school graduates. It's exciting. Rita was super upset to hear I had so many options. And not for the first time, my parents expected me to think of her before making decisions. They suggested I focus on looking at community colleges only or not going to college at all and going into retail or a service industry job. They told me I could afford my own place if I were to do that. I didn't get to go to camp because Rita couldn't and they didn't want me to have experiences she couldn't. I wasn't allowed to participate in school plays because Rita couldn't participate in hers. My parents would actually stop my teachers from including me. They refused to sign a permission slip but would have allowed me to enter a competition on behalf of my school because Rita would never get to have an experience like that herself. And they didn't feel it was right for me to have it then. The permission slip came in because some travel might be involved if I were to go anywhere. They pulled me out of our classes when I was young because I was doing super well and getting a lot of praise. My parents actually pressured me to ask if I could leave the classes, but they pulled me regardless. Rita would always get upset when I achieved something or got presented with a great opportunity. She'd cry, ask me why I got everything and she got nothing. I felt bad for her but also resentful of the fact she was glad when our parents held me back. This became a fight when the college stuff came up again and my parents saw me looking up the apprenticeship, and my parents asked me how I could even think about going and how selfish I would be. They said I should aim for something lower for Rita's sake. Rita heard us argue about it, and she said she knows I'm too selfish to give it up for her. I told them I hated them for expecting me to. Rita and my parents said I had no sense of family loyalty at all. Am I the a-hole for making it clear to my sister that my son won't be helping her with stuff? My 8-year-old son has dyspraxia, which is a neurological condition that affects coordination and movement, for anyone who has never heard of it before. He struggles not to drop or break things, doesn't have good eye-hand coordination. He has always appeared clumsy and, while he does his very best to be careful and to take good care of things, he can't always prevent accidents, breakages, or spillages from happening. This is something my sister has expressed frustration about over the years. He was the type of toddler and now kid who will be eating or drinking something and it falls to the floor or he knocks stuff over without meaning to because he's reaching for something else. It's not his fault. He does OT to help him and has done physio in the past to boost his strength. That there is no cure, he's just getting help to go through life. My son has broken many things because of his condition. If it belonged to someone else, we have always replaced it or paid for the damages. We also started making sure he used his own stuff. Our stuff to prevent this from happening, especially toes my sister's kids have. That his condition means he can't do everything other kids his age might be able to do. Now this is a huge problem for my sister. Last weekend my son spent the day with my parents while my wife and I were attending an event. My sister went to my parents and asked for my son to help her and her kids pack up stuff for their move, and my son said he couldn't help and he was sorry. My sister told him he's a big boy now and should be helping, but my son told her he doesn't do that kind of stuff. My parents told my sister to leave. She confronted me after this and asked me what I was teaching my kid when he won't help out family. I told her we're teaching him to work within his means and to not help out someone who will berate him for his condition, which she will do. She said we're coddling and spoiling him, that he's more than old enough to learn how to be more careful, to do better and to cause less accidents and make fewer mistakes, and he needs to learn to help family. And we need to make him do stuff for family to be good parents. I told her my son will never help her with stuff because she lacks the compassion and understanding that his efforts would require. Her response was that it was an asshole thing to say, that he wouldn't help specifically her and that she's still his and I sister and I'm supposed to be her brother. I told her she's supposed to be my sister and my son's aunt, but she edges on bullying him over this and it does not make her a suitable person for him to try helping out. She asked me for an apology and for me to make this right. She told me I owe her that much at the very least. Am I the a-hole?